Well, hey everyone, it's Black Child here. And since people have been demanding that I do a VMAs 2016 video, I figured that since people demanded it, that I sit down and watch it and give you all a review, which I guess I'm going to do now. This year, it was back in New York again. I really think it has a lot to do with Viacom. If you've done any reading on it, Viacom, who basically owns MTV, VH1, BET, Comedy Central, they basically own most of the mainstream stuff you see on television, especially if it has anything to do with black people. Usually Viacom has something to do with it. It's basically what's going on now in Viacom is, it's a Jewish thing. This is because, they control and run the industry. You see black faces, which is what this show is about. Of course, using black people, which even the last time that I did a commentary video on the VMAs was how, they use black people to make the whole thing relevant. But it's what's selling to the white people. So they use blacks to make it relevant, but they're packaging it to whites. So, anyway, this is the point of this particular award ceremony this year. Didn't have a lot of symbolism. There was no rituals and people levitating and doing all types of, crazy stuff. It was a lot of mainstream artists, the top mainstream people, no up-and-coming people. They didn't want anybody up-and-coming. They wanted their established people that they know that sell. Because Viacom, it's basically like this old Jewish guy, Sumner Redstone, aka Mr. Rothstein, who him and his daughter basically own Viacom and like CBS. They have like controlling share, and the other Jewish people of the board, the executives, etc., they are trying to fight the Redstone family over control over who's gonna own and totally run Viacom and CBS. So this show was in New York City at MSG. It was totally a Zionist thing, because people who run Viacom are complete Zionists. I mean, I was reading that the guy that I think is running it right now, like his uncle or something, was like the first prime minister of Israel. So that's the definition of a Zionist. Anyway, so the show started. It was DJ Khaled, which he was basically like the hype man. I don't get it, but again, it was what was selling. Every time, the white people that I know, that I work with, etc., they always tell me about DJ Khaled, what he's doing online or something. And it's always like stupid stuff, but they seem to love it, and obviously that's why he was appointed to be ritual commander of the night, even though he didn't really do much hosting. Most of the hosting went to these two clowns, Key and Peele, who again, their shows on Comedy Central that's owned by Viacom. And it wasn't really even coonery. It was just stupidness. And again, white people love them. White people love that show, Key and Peele, and I've watched it, and I've not laughed like one time, because to me it's not funny. But anyway, so the show starts off with Rihanna, and she can't dance, she can't sing really. I mean, she can like hold a note, but she can't really sing, she can't really dance, but she's got a great face, she's got a pretty face. So okay. So she starts off the show wearing all this pink. They're on the octagon. The stage is like 8-sided. Of course, they're going to bring in their ritual symbolism. So then after that, Diddy comes out wearing this like cape, blouse, shirt. I don't know. It looked like a cape. But it also looked like a women's blouse, shirt. I don't know. It was bizarre. So he was there to present the first award of the night, which was Hip Hop Award, best rap hip hop. and Drake won. And then he says, "Oh, Drake is stuck in traffic, but I'm gonna take this back home. Come and see me, Drake." It's just, I don't know. It was kind of weird. It was a little off. I felt like that comment it didn't sit right with me, but we moved on. The next thing that happens is, Chance. They have this guy Chance the rapper, and the presenter goes, "Welcome the reigning prince of Chicago." I'm like, what? Like, what? The reigning prince of Chicago? And he's like switching down like doing this like strut down this. It was just the reigning prince. You give these niggas a little bit of money and they just like wow out. Like every opportunity they possibly can, they will. And you're just like, Prince of Chicago. Like, it's so much you can say about it, but I guess it's like he's obviously like Kanye's boy, so I guess like Kanye passed the title of reigning prince of Chicago to him. But I mean, he really needs to be careful saying that he's a reigning prince of Chicago when how dare you overstep Obama. Because he's the prince of everything, including being the prince of Chicago. So how dare this guy Chance get up there and say, reigning prince of Chicago. I just thought that was one of the most ridiculous points of the night, just starting that off. That was like ridiculous point number one. So he introduces Ariana Grande and Nicki Minaj. And then I'm like, what genius told Ariana Grande start her performance on a treadmill? Like, she's literally like on a bike, like one of those treadmill bikes, and singing. And then she's like really pedaling too. I'm like, wow, man, that was a brilliant idea to start your 4 or 5 minute performance off by being on a treadmill singing at the same time. Okay. So she's doing that. It's like once she's out of breath, then she's just off key. It sounds terrible. Then Nicki Minaj comes out, and it's like a clown show, like a circus act, because she just like, it looks so ridiculous. Like, it just looked crazy. Like, that shit just looked crazy. It was wow, wow. But again, you need the blacks to make the show relevant. To make this thing legitimate. To make Ariana Grande's performance legitimate, they needed a black person. So they had Chance opening introducing them, and then Nicki Minaj with this like diaper on or whatever it is. It was just like, come on. So after that charade is over, but again, it's pink. I don't know. Pink was a big color of what they were doing that night. I don't know if that had anything to do. That might have been seemingly like that was one of the color codes, like pink. I don't know. They were all doing pink. Then Alicia Keys gets up there, and she's supposed to be like the new reincarnated Erykah Badu. So she comes up there like no makeup on. She's wearing this like dress, and she's got her like natural hair, and she's doing all this like Martin Luther King thing. But again, as I always tell people, this is why black people are in such bad shape. It's because these people, these black Masonic people, and these people of black societies, because they're the ones that are making sure that we get kept down. The 95% of the black population that's not a part of fucking secret society shit, and Alpha Kappa Alpha and Q Dogs and all this other shit. And this is some of the problem, is that these people and them selling out to brotherhood, sisterhood, they have completely sold out the black community, and their job is to gatekeep and to make sure that blacks in general never fucking come up. They can talk about police shootings all they want, which we'll get to in Beyonce, but the number one problem with blacks, as far as I'm concerned, is our economic fucking standing. And nobody ever talks about that shit. They should be singing songs about that. But anyway, so she's doing this Erykah Badu thing, and then she starts doing the singing and all this stuff. Then Michael Phelps comes, and it's just something in my spirit doesn't sit right when Michael Phelps shows up. Like he just looks demonic. You know, that his face looked like it was kind of morphing. Eyes looked like they were becoming slits. Teeth looked like they were morphing a little bit. It was a little off. You know, in my spirit, I did not feel right when Michael Phelps came up there. You know, he just looked evil. You know, he's saying, you know, rap has really, you know, made me the person I am, and it really like helps me to win gold medals. And it was, when he's saying this, it's literally like you can hear like a pin drop. Like it was just dead silent. He's talking about like how much rap means to him, and it was just like, okay. So he starts talking about this weird face he put, and everybody was talking about it, and that it was because he was listening to Future song, and somebody, I think it was Future song, he said he was listening to, and so he introduces Future, and I mean everybody's with this leather. I mean they got leather on. Future comes out wearing all leather. I mean it wasn't all leather, but some of it was like red leather, and then he has these guys dancing with him, and they look, I mean, they all look like they were on Molly. Like their faces would just look like they were out, like zoned out. It was weird. Like I'm like, what kind of dance is it? It was weird. The way the dancing, the way they were moving, it just looked like at least two of them were probably on Molly, including maybe three, including Future. So you know he's doing his thing, but again, it's what sells. Most of the performances of the night were black people. That's just, you know. But again, MTV, VH1, Viacom, and all this stuff, of course, it's Jewish, Zionist, synagogue, whatever you want to call it. So, okay, so Future was on Molly. Then the gymnasts, you know, these 5 girls of gymnastics get up, and they it's really interesting because I personally think that a few of them are completely under MK Ultra. One of them being the black girl, Simone, because again, you know, when you listen to people who've been, you know, under government control and government mind control and stuff, it's usually people who are at risk. And when you hear this girl's story, it's kind of, you know, like her parents were on drugs and they abandoned her and all this stuff. So, you know, it's kind of sound like she could be possibly MK Ultra. And then what she doing the gymnastics, the spinning, flipping, all of that is part of programming, literally. Like when you read Fritz Springmeier's book, he talks a lot about that. How a lot of programming involves spinning, flipping, and all that stuff. So it'd be perfect for, you know, a gymnast to do. And, you know, she's got those eyes, you know, that like dissociate, you know, like that sometimes people who are like dissociative have, just like those wide eyes, you know. So anyway, they got up there. I mean, they were cute. They're cute, but you know, I just personally feel like, you know, they're already bringing them into this whole thing, and some of them I think are already under MK Ultra. So anyway, so then we have Kanye West doing this speech, you know, 5-10 minutes of idolatry. So he comes out to the line of, you know, he made that bitch Taylor Swift famous, and the people are just going wild, like they just love it, you know, they are just loving it. They have Kim Kardashian there, and you know, there's like scenes like when they cut to her and she looks like she's on drugs, or sometimes they cut to her and she looks evil, and then she has this like wet hair, you know, she just looks like just possessed. Like these people look like they've been ritualized before the show, you know, like they go to a ritual, they get like electroshock therapy, you know, they do something wild to them before they send them to the show, and they're just like you know, they're just like in a trance. So Kanye gets up there, and you know, it's just idolatry, and I'm like, what the hell is he even talking about? Like you really, I mean, maybe it's me, maybe other people understand what he's saying, but for me, when I was listening to it, I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? Like you know, he's talking about his obsession with Beyonce, and you know, but I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? And but they seem to understand, you know, I think, I don't know. So then he gets to address or released his new music video, and I'm like, what is I mean, it's like a Tiana Taylor sex tape. So she's basically like rolling around. It starts off with bars, like her behind bars, and they pan away from the bars, and you realize she's like in a gym or some maintenance room. I don't know. Um, and she's like covered in like baby oil, and we see all this ass, and she's like dancing. It's like a flash dance, or I don't know. I guess that's the name of the movie, like flash dance type of thing. And she's just humping the floor with baby oil, all her ass out, and so I'm like, wow. So this is basically like a Tiana Taylor sex tape being released at VMAs. But then you think that's like that's like the worst thing. Yeah. But then they take it to the next level, because then we see the next scene is her in the shower, like butt naked, because she was almost butt naked in the first clip. She's dancing around, all this baby oil on her. But then the second clip, she's totally butt naked, and she's in the shower now, because she's worked up such a sweat, humping the floor, dancing, doing this flash dance type of thing. So then we see her and her baby's father, Amon Shumpert, and they're just like naked, making out in the shower. We see her, simulating, oral sex, and you're just like, okay, Kanye, and Kanye's songs just playing throughout this whole thing. And then the third scene is she's like a succubus. I don't know. It's just like some sort of a cat or a lion, some kind of a cat. And they're in a room full of sheep, so I don't know. I mean, I guess I didn't have enough time to break it down, to try to break this thing down. I don't know what the hell it really meant. Sometimes they just do things to be outlandish and ridiculous, but it did seem to have some, mind control, the bars, her doing this beta dance, this basically her getting butt naked, doing this dance for Kanye. And then, they have their baby there. That's their kid. So I'm like, so you incorporated your baby basically in your sex tape, and then turn it into a creature. And then the other thing about that baby is that I've seen video online that she posted, and it was of the baby, and it was like the baby was cut up, like not like cut like muscular. It was weird. It was really weird. I've never seen a baby like that before. So I don't know if that ties into that, but it was bizarre, the Kanye video. It was basically exploitation of Tiana Taylor and her husband, and basically exploitation of her whole family, as they were all basically just butt-ass naked in Kanye's video. So, they have great bodies. Yeah, bodies were on point, but, damn. So anyway, Nick Jonas did a performance with Ty Dolla $ign, who was wearing some kind of a sheer, I don't know. First of all, Nick Jonas was wearing leather. Everybody was wearing leather. I'm like, it was kind of warm in New York. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of like almost 90 degrees. These people wearing leathers and furs. And so Nick Jonas is doing leathers. Okay. But again, another performance where it's incorporation of black people again. So after that, Serena Williams comes out to introduce Beyonce, and she looks clone. I'm like, why does Serena look so different? She looked very different to me personally. I just imagine she had more of a body. She looked really skinny. She just looked different. She looked different, the face, and then, to be honest, just like Michael Phelps, the face was morphing. It was it looked evil, looked witch, like that witch was coming out, So, I didn't know. It did look kind of clone-like. Looked really different. That's the other thing why they encourage plastic surgery. You encourage plastic surgery so that you continue to get this work done where they can just replace you and nobody would know the difference. Anyway, so she then introduces Beyonce, who shows up like the Undertaker. She literally looked like the Undertaker. If you've ever seen WWE, when the Undertaker shows up with that hat, it looked just like that. I was just expecting the Crip music, but it was Beyonce, and she was doing this whole thing where, her, what is this? Her people were going to get shot. Her background dancers are, they're getting shot as to symbolize, the police shootings. And she brought Mike Brown's mom and Leslie and, what's this guy? Mike Brown, Trayvon's mom. And all these people who their kids got shot by, by police. I think all of them were shot by police. And, she's showboating again. Whatever's relevant, that's what she's going to do. So she brought her daughter, Blue Ivy, who has that same Jay-Z mug. She just got that Jay-Z face. And, but then Beyonce's wearing these wings, like butterfly wings or angel wings. But it seemed like could have been possibly programming for the daughter, because she already said she takes her to the park in the Ivy Park video, and she's talking about dissociation and basically going into trance. And then she says, "Oh," and then shows her bringing the girl to the park. So I mean, what does that mean? And then she shows up wearing these butterfly wings, which was weird. I'm like, it's so hot. It's like summertime, and these people wearing fabrics and furs and all this material. I'm like, you just can't show up with a shirt, I mean, it's like a lot. It's a lot of material. So she starts doing the performance, and she's got furs and leathers, and throwing up the goat, and then they're flashing these lights, and then sometimes throughout them flashing the lights, you see like a glimpse of evil. You see like a demonic face. It was just unnerving. It was very unnerving, to say the least. But of course, it's all about showboating and making a statement. And then she says, she has this thing when it like has messages. It's playing these messages on the background, and it goes, one of them is, "God is God, I am not." Like what? So I guess now she's admitting that she's not God now. So she's saying, she's no longer declaring herself a God, which, might be progress. So then she still has, now they put another fur coat on. Now she has another fur coat. And then she gets in the middle of these flames, which, that was like, you didn't know if that was a good idea. Which one was a worse idea? Them telling Ariana Grande to get on a treadmill and start singing, or Beyonce getting in the middle of some flames with, 30 pounds of fur, 10 pounds of hair, material, fabric, all this stuff in the middle of all these flames. But, of course, they can't do a show without somebody being in a circle or a square or a pentagram or a hexagram or octagon filled with flames. They had to at least do that. They had to, of course, honor Lucifer. Of course, everybody was doing their gestures. She did hers when she was going, Illuminati mess and all this stuff, and she's doing gestures, which shouldn't be surprising. So then Jaden Smith shows up, and surprisingly, he wasn't wearing a dress tonight. That night, he wasn't wearing a dress, but was wearing a coat that was very long. He still had to have something long, and wearing some sheer blouse again with the sheer blouses. So all the black men that were there, basically besides Kanye, were wearing some kind of a sheer women's clothing, or leather, so so then they present some award. Fifth Harmony wins, the temple prostitutes. They get up there and they go, "Oh, we're so shocked, like we're so surprised we won." And they always, every award ceremony I've ever seen, they always do like, "Oh my God, we can't believe it." So, they won. The black girl was very, she's beautiful, but she's wearing this like cutout black dress. She was just feeling herself. She knew she looked better than all the other ones. And, you know, temple prostitutes for the win. So they won. They were very happy. And then they had one white performance. They had one group of people who were all white, and that was chain smokers. And he was off key too. They were all just off key. So white people got one full thing with no interruption by black people. So I mean, okay. Then this guy Handler, he always shows up at the VMAs. Jimmy Fallon shows up, and he's doing a mirroring, because again, he's a handler, so he's now mirroring MK Ultra Ryan Lochte, who's completely under programming. So he's like mirroring him, and then gives Beyonce this award. And then Rihanna did her final performance of the night, and it was she had all black people, and they were all wearing white. I guess that's some like duality thing. And she was kind of off key again, and people loved it. So I don't know. And then Drake gets up there, and they do this fake thing where they're like in a relationship, and he's saying how much he loved her since he was like 22, and she ends up like rolling her eyes, because she just couldn't contain the fakeness for so long. There's only but so much you can contain all that fakeness. Because the truth is, like, Rihanna's like Lucifer's wife. She's like his like mistress. She's literally Lucifer's mistress. So she doesn't belong to anybody. So for them to do this like charade that that they're in this like relationship, and he loves her so much, and he's giving his lady, he's giving his woman, her Vanguard, Michael Jackson honorary visionary, future visionary of the world award. And she's just like, yeah, because that was the show. This was what the VMAs was about. Viacom is losing their grip upon society. They're losing money. The Jews are infighting at the company, and they're losing to the internet. So this show was about, we need to come back. So they used all the star power they possibly could. But really what ended up happening in the end was they basically exposed the fact that really these people really aren't like, they're stars because they've been given this, but they're not really all that. There's people out there who can sing, who can dance, who could do everything. And most of these people were off key. Now, listen, auto-tune helps a lot. They say, oh, well, it could have been off, it could have been this. But the truth is that most of them, the singing was really average. The music is average. And it all sounds the same. So the show was basically, again, using black people to be relevant, which they did. They showed up, black Masonic people. They showed up. They got all the awards. It was all the awards for the black people. And but again, the problem is that we aren't making decisions. We aren't in charge of the casting agencies. We aren't in charge of, the talent agencies. They don't even want to hire a black person, even for like an internship. They don't even want to give you an internship at a talent agency of Hollywood. So, the talent is black, but the people who are making the decisions, of course, aren't. And they're infighting. And so expect a big ritual coming out of the Jewish world of entertainment. Because somebody's got to go. It seems like somebody has to, go so that they can determine what they're going to do. But that was the show. Black men wearing sheer capes, skirt. No skirts this time that I saw. Mostly leather, furs, sheer women's clothing, blouses, and that was really about it. So people have demanded me to do the VMAs video, so I've done it. Oh, and Britney Spears also, I totally forgot. Britney Spears did, she basically danced to a song that she recorded. She's pretending that she's singing. I mean, it was really pathetic. It was actually pathetic that she couldn't even. I mean, at least Ariana Grande was actually on a treadmill still singing. I mean, she could have at least tried. She didn't even try, so you didn't even get an A for effort. You get an F for fail. And she threw up some goats. She touched the guy's crotch. She did her job. She got paid. But that was the show. It was all about reinforcing mainstream. Please keep watching us. Don't go to the internet. Don't go to YouTube. Watch MTV. So, anyway, people, I've given you what you wanted. All right. So until next time, stay in the truth. Stay in the Lord. All right.